I thought I would create a video of how I make exercise and physical therapy MP3 files to guide my daily physical therapy routines and workouts. I started doing this for two reasons. First, I found it a lot easier to stick to a routine if I could just listen to it on my iPhone and just follow along. Second, I also wanted to make sure that I was doing it right, and that I remembered to do everything that my coach and my physical therapist had told me to do. I'm doing this on a Macintosh using GarageBand, which you can get in the Apple App Store. You could also do this using Audacity or other audio recording programs on the Mac or the PC, but I've not tried those other options. You'll also want a decent headset microphone. I recommend creating very short audio files for your exercises. So for instance, if it's a physical therapy routine, you just want to make sure that there's one file per exercise at a time. So I like to keep them down to only about a minute or two at most. The first step is to create a transcript. It's an extra step, but it's worth it in case you mess up and have to re-record it later. To do this, just fire up your favorite text editor or word processor and type up the instructions, cues, or suggestions that your coach or PT made during your session. You don't have to record every last detail, really just the key things that you need to remember. I also like to add a few words at the beginning that focus on the point of the exercise to keep myself motivated. Okay, now I've got my transcript. Before we start recording, notice how I've tried to put each cue or instruction in a new paragraph. There's a reason for this, as we'll see later. Also, notice that I've put in time markers for 30 seconds, a minute, and so on. This will also help guide me later. So, once you've got your transcript, print it out. Then it's time to start recording. Open up GarageBand and choose New Project. Then choose Voice, even though it really doesn't matter which one of these options you choose. Next, name your file. I tend to like to go with the name of the exercise. Next, in GarageBand, go to Control and choose Show Time in LCD. This will make the timeline show up at the top of the screen and in the LCD at the bottom of the screen. And you can also click on this little highlighted information button in the lower right corner to get yourself a little bit more room to work with. To record, you click on the red Record button at the bottom of the screen next to the LCD and start recording. I like to toggle the record button to start and stop the recording for each paragraph. So let's get started. Let's move on to the Bulgarian straight leg deadlift. This is a great exercise for activating the upper hamstring muscles and glutes, which are key for running and cycling. Start on your left leg with your right foot suspended behind you. Keeping a neutral back, bend forward, making sure to not lock your knees on the way down. As you lift up, think about pushing your hips forward by using your glutes and hamstrings. Notice that as I toggled the record button, the timeline kept moving. I could have stopped this if I wanted to by pressing the right arrow play button at the bottom of the screen, but I didn't do that because I wanted each cue to be in a separate balloon along the timeline. Okay, now I've got my exercise recorded. By toggling the record button, I have each cue from each paragraph in my transcript in a separate balloon. Now I can drag and drop each balloon to align with those time markers that I also had in my transcript. This will make sure that my cues are evenly distributed and that my exercise begins and ends exactly at the time that I want them to. So now I have my recording and aligned each balloon with the timeline. If I think that some gaps are a little bit too big, I can always add a new balloon by hitting the record button. For completeness, I'd recommend adding this text to your transcript as well. Okay, now save the file by going to File and Save, and then go to Share and select Export Song to Disk and save the file to disk. Congratulations, you've just created an exercise file. After you've created an exercise file for each exercise, you'll have a library of MP3 files. This is where it gets really exciting. Select New Project and then Voice. Name your file. Then click on each track and select Delete Track over each track. Once you've got a clean screen, select Track and then New Basic Track. As before, you can click on the Information button in the lower right corner to give yourself more room. Also, as before, be sure to show your timeline by clicking on Control and Show Time in LCD. Now give yourself a little room by shrinking the GarageBand window and open the Finder to show your collection of MP3 exercise files. Then, drag the ones you want to the screen and rearrange them as you see fit. When you're done, as before, you simply select Share and Export Song to Disk to create your new MP3 file. Of course, be sure to save your GarageBand file as well. By using this technique, you can easily rearrange or add new exercises as your coach or physical therapist see fit. If you're a coach, you can create audio files that really get your athletes to focus on proper technique or do the right drills, and be much more confident that they'll be followed. If you're a physical therapist, you can get better compliance and safer technique. Once you're used to the process, it's really easy to keep up. Thanks for watching.